What's up guys, it's Izzy here, welcome back. Today we're going to do the Banlist prediction video because it's been pretty much quite enough time since we got the last Banlist, so we have an idea of what is good and what is not. There have been a lot of new decks recently in Phantom Raids that pretty much warped the meta kinda and have seen a lot of representation in the recent online events. I do not expect anything to get hit from these decks because they're fairly new, so the only thing I see Konami doing is basically bring down the power of the previously tier 1 decks, not just a lot, just a tiny bit, just to make the format a little bit fair, to have these new decks basically become the new tier 1 decks because that's how Konami works. The old tier 1 decks make way for the new ones. So I don't expect this to be a big ban list, just a few hits on the core problems. So before we begin, don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed, comment down below your own ban list predictions, all your thoughts, pretty much what you see is going to get hit, if you think any of these cards don't deserve to get hit, or if there are others that do deserve to get hit that I didn't mention. And now, let's get to the video. So to start off with the ban sanction, we have the first one, and that's Link Cross. I'm pretty much convinced that Konami does not plan to ban Needle Fiber. Like in the OCG, I think Needle Fiber is here to stay, but if that's the case, we have to get rid of Link Cross, because Needle Fiber on his own is not an unfair card. He never actually was. It's the follow-up that Link Cross uses with Needle Fiber and the tuner that he gives to the field that's pretty much unfair. Some decks don't even use Needle Fiber for Link Cross. They summon Link Cross with something like a Romulus or Isolde and then go into Needle Fiber. And the broken thing about this is that it gives you a Herald before you start committing to the combo, because now you don't have to worry about Nibiru. So if you don't have Herald, your opponent can hold Nibiru a little bit longer and throw it later into the combo, so there is absolutely no way you can come back, because if you're forced to use Nibiru when they summon the Link Cross tokens and you use it then there's a chance that your opponent does have enough extenders to be able to combo off. So this is why Link Cross, I think, has to absolutely go if Needle Fiber is to stay, and I'm pretty sure Needle Fiber will stay in the format, so we have to make him more fair by banning Link Cross. The next card is Dragonbuster Distraction Sword. This is the only hit that I think, as of Dragons, need to address, along with Link Cross, of course. But people say that LP should be banned. I don't really think so. Let's be real, the field that Dragon Link makes is not that oppressive without this card. The Dragonbuster Distraction Sword is what makes this combo insane, because dealing with Spheres, Savage, and Herald, that's manageable. They're just 3 interruptions. Pendulum can pretty much get out more interruptions than that. It's the Dragon Distraction Sword that pretty much makes this board indestructible. Not being able to access your extra deck means that there's absolutely no way you can fight these Omni Negates. If you can use your extra deck, then if you just bait Heralds, the Spheres bounce, and you're playing Zoo, then you can just basically crack this entire board with just a Zeus. So this is why this card, it's not because of Dragon Link. This card is good in pretty much a lot of stuff. Yes, Dragon Link is the main one that's being abused right now, but it will be a problem in the future for sure, because it's very generic with Union Carrier, so that's why this card should go 100%. And the last ban card is Smoke Grenade. This is another card that pretty much serves the same purpose as Dragonbuster. It's not quite the same, but it feels the same, because it makes cards like Droplet or Dark Ruler No More pretty much useless against Infernoble Knight, unless you top deck them as your drop phase, as your 6th card, which doesn't happen too often. So this is why Smoke Grenade makes Infernoble pretty, very powerful. It's not the field of Charles, Herald, and Savage that is broken, it's the Smoke Grenade that gets you your key card to be able to combat that field that makes this deck insane, because if you just have a Dark Ruler No More, then that's pretty much it. And Konami wants Dark Ruler No More and Droplet in the meta, because having these cards in the meta makes it more healthy to be able to deal with these break my board decks. So I think banning Smoke Grenade makes these cards more viable, because people have stopped playing Dark Ruler No More in the main deck, they're siding it, but in the main deck it's pretty much useless, because if you face something like Infernoble, then it's going to get ripped out of your hand. And it's the same with Dragonbuster, because even if you Dark Ruler No More the Dragon Link board, then you still have to deal with the lock of your extra deck. So it's not like Dark Ruler No More is the card that used to be, that just on its own pretty much destroys the entire enemy board, and then you just have to rip apart the monsters that are basically vanillas at this point. Now, before we continue, I want to pretty much mention 3 cards that I'm pretty sure a lot of you in the comments are going to mention that should get banned, and I'm going to tell you why they will not get banned. So the first card is Utopic Zexel. So there are 2 reasons for Utopic Zexel that he will not get banned, at least not anytime soon. First of all, the Numeron engine is not as powerful as we expected it to be when it was announced. It needs a lot of bricks in the deck and in the extra deck, and it also locks you into just Utopic Zexel. So all these combo decks, they not rely on one monster to lock your opponent. So if your opponent has an out for one monster, they have something else to deal with your opponent's board. The problem with Zexel is that yes, it's very powerful if it resolves, but there are so many ways to stop it from resolving, and because of the restriction of your Numeron calling, you don't have anything else on the field. Maybe if you're playing Subterrors and you have a Fiendess, then if you're playing some Bakro, and this is why this deck, this engine became pretty much something to boost those Bakro decks, like playing Subterrors, which is the only one that saw some success. Eldritch, not really. Dogmatic Eldritch was way more potent. So this is why Utopic Zexel is absolutely not going to get banned, because it's not as powerful as it was in the OCG. And the second reason is because of the new Utopia support. I'm not quite sure how good Zexel is there, but just because there is Utopia support coming in the next upcoming set, there is absolutely no way that Konami is going to ban a power card that could potentially boost sales in an upcoming product. So do not think that Zexel is going anywhere. The next card is Redeyes Dark Dragoon. This is another big flop in the TCG. Not as big as the Numeron engine, but still a big flop. Another card that people were hyping. They thought it was unfair. They thought it was going to completely change the format like it did in the OCG. It did not. The engine is bricky. You're playing 3 bricks because yes, Redeyes Fusion is a brick because it doesn't let you do anything else. And if it gets asked, you're pretty much lost. Also, we don't have something like Maxi like in the OCG, so the formats are much more fast-paced. In a slow-paced format, Dragoon is insane because if you just have one Redeyes Fusion and you Maxi, then yes, your opponent will draw a card, but you get a really insane monster on the field. And also, we do have outs for it now. When it came out in the OCG, even Dark Ruler No More was not there. Now we have Dark Ruler No More, we have Droplet, we have TTT. There are so many ways to deal with Dragoon, aside from the standard Kaijus that pretty much nobody plays. So it's very, very easy to deal with this card, and it locks you into doing that. So you have to do it the last. So if you're playing like a combo deck, you don't need to play this. So this card is the card that made the worst decks a little bit better. So that's not a bad thing in general, because it gave some pretty bad decks a fighting chance. And you can see in the meta reviews that the meta decks are not playing this card. The best deck that plays this card right now is Adamanticators, and Adamanticators is not a tier 1 deck by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't think Dragoon is pretty much a card that will get hit. If we see a slower format eventually and this card starts taking over, then maybe we'll see it get banned, but I do not expect this to be happening very soon. And the third card is Treating of All Calamities. This is another reason to boost sales. This card is unfair, yes, it's pretty much like a Zexel that locks your opponent, not as much as Zexel, but pretty much locks them completely. It sees play in the new Virtual World deck, so it's a fairly new deck, so I don't expect Konami to do something that would kill a deck, because Virtual World going first, this pretty much relies on this and QB, so if they ban Treating of All Calamities, the deck is pretty much useless. And also there is an upcoming card called Diviner of the Heralds. We do not know when that's going to come out, but when it does, it boosts Treating of All Calamities to an insanely new level with the Trias Hierarchia. So it's another card that if it's a secret, then maybe having Treating of All Calamities around will boost sales for the set that this card is in. So do not expect Calamities to go anywhere. Now let's go to the limited section. We have Misk, just Misk. I think Misk has had its time. It came out of the limited list just to boost sales of Argosaurus. It did its job. Argosaurus started from a price of 20 to 25 and jumped to a whopping price of 60, 65. So yep, it served its purpose, but I think it's time for this card to go. This card is way, way too powerful. It's stopping your opponent from doing anything to your dinos is pretty much unfair, because not even cards like Nibiru can stop you. Because by the time you have something that is not a dino on the field, you have a Dolka, so you can negate the Nibiru anyway. So this card is absolutely insane. And for the unlimited list, pretty much expect whatever got semi during the last list to go to 3 this list. So we have Graphens here, still BA don't do anything. You can put these 2 cards back to 3 and the deck is not going to do much. Pretty much you see BAs right now only being played in Phantom Knights as a mini engine with Tour Guide to give you more access to Cherubini and then get your own Phantom Knights monsters. Pure BAs are not really a big problem. If you gave Beatrice back to 2 or 3, then maybe Pure BA would be a thing, but I don't think Konami plans on releasing Beatrice. Even with her reprint, I still think that having 2 Beatrices on the field can be problematic because you can mill a lot of cards from your deck. The floating effect is okay, but I think they don't want to bring back Beatrice to 2 or 3, not because of BA, but because of its ability to be splashed into many stuff. So just having an extra Foolish Burial in your deck is very problematic when combined with the right cards. The next card is ABC Dragonbuster. Yep, ABCs did not do anything like we expected. I still do not know why Konami limited Dragonbuster and Totally Awesome when we started with Master Duel 5. It was a very, very safe move to say, but kind of illogical because we kind of already knew that these decks were not going to do anything because power creep is a thing. So these decks, even though they never got hit in the past when they used to be good, now they're not good even though they have pretty much everything they need. So expect Dragonbuster to go to 3. Totally Awesome, pretty much the same thing. Totally Awesome just got its reprint in Maximum Gold, so you can have easier access to it because the price was starting to skyrocket a little bit. It was like 20, 25. So totally, not only does it see play in Paleo, but it will boost sales on stuff that is water. So Konami can pretty much promote new water decks in the future just because of Bahamut Shark and Totally. So I think having 3 Totally Awesomes can very much boost all those sales. So all these unlimits are here because, you know, Konami, they want money, so they're going to pretty much guarantee that all these new decks and decks that I'll put in the future sell more. Maybe putting Graphens Tier to 3 will boost sales in Phantom Knights, although I do not think anybody would play 3 Graph and 3 Seer in a Phantom Knight deck. Maybe in Pure BA, but not in Phantom Knights. I think they're too bricky. Other cards that I think might have a chance of coming back to 3, but I'm not going to include them in the prediction because I don't think Konami plans on ever releasing these cards. The first card is Reasoning. Reasoning is a fine card to go to 3, but for some reason Konami is afraid of this card. So yeah, I think Infernoids is the best deck that uses this card right now, so I don't think anything bad is going to happen if you put Reasoning back to 3. So yep, that's something to consider. The next card is Redeyes Darkness Metal. This card is a bit weird because we do have Dragon Link as our tier 1 deck. The errata is very, very good. It stops this card from being broken in multiple copies, but it's still at 1, and I'm kind of curious on whether Konami plans on bringing this card back to 3. It can be useful at 3 because it's an extender, so people would play 3 copies if it was at 3, that's certain, but I still don't think it's something that it used to be, like you spam 3 Redeyes Darkness Metal on the field and then bring back all those dragons and do crazy stuff, and now with links it would be even crazier, but the errata stops you from doing that. So I'm pretty sure that having 3 copies would not be anything super crazy, but it would just make Dragon Links a little bit better, and I think now that Dragon Link is a tier 1, there's no need to give it stuff, only take away stuff from it. So yep, these are predictions. I'm pretty sure Konami plans on keeping things straight and simple. They do not really want to kill anything because we still don't have any official events. They want to sell the older sets, but they also want to promote the newer sets somehow, so they will just clip the wings of the tier 1 decks that we used to have in the previous format. So decks like Zodiac, Virtual World, and Phantom Knights can become even stronger, so they will have an even playing field with those decks, because right now we're seeing good representation of the new decks, but this is only because the set just got released, so people are trying out stuff. They don't really know if they're tier 1 or not, so we do have a lot of representation, so you can expect a lot of tops as well, but this doesn't give a precise idea of what the meta is. We will have to figure that out a little bit later. So these hits, I think, are pretty much what Konami plans to do, so we can have a more balanced format with a lot more variety. So yep, if you enjoyed this video, guys, give it a thumbs up, comment down below your thoughts on the ban list, what you think will get hit, what you think, if you think anything will come back, or pretty much anything you think that Konami might do in the next list. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our upcoming videos, and we'll see you next time.